So if I was to go back and start down this journey of keeping my day job while simultaneously chasing my dreams, how would I do it? That's what these 5 steps are going to be. You don't have to quit your job, give up everything you've worked for just to chase your dreams. Today, I'm going to give you 5 steps that will allow you to have your cake and eat it too. I have, over the last decade or so, I have started my own business. I have sold everything, our house, most of our furniture, and bought a 5th wheel and a big truck and traveled the country full-time for 2 years. We sold all of that and bought a house on 10 acres with a pond and ducks, and did all of that while having a steady job. And in fact, now we are venturing down some homestead adjacent path, right? We're not farmers. However, we're raising ducks. We're raising chickens. We are remodeling our house. We're building chicken coops. We're doing all kinds of things. Living out a lot of the dreams that we've had without having to give up the steady income, all the hard work that I've had over my career to get to where I am. And, the security of health insurance and being able to have steady income while doing all these other things. So maybe either right now or as I'm talking, I'll cue up some montage of all the things that we've done, just as proof. I'm assuming some of you don't believe it. And as I said, these are 5 steps that in hindsight we did, but unfortunately with a lot less intentionality, which then caused it to be a lot harder than it probably needed to be. So if I was to go back and start down this journey of keeping my day job while simultaneously chasing my dreams, how would I do it? That's what these 5 steps are going to be. And hopefully they'll help you chase your dreams without having to give up everything else. So before I get into that, just some background on us and how we did it. I mean, a lot of it, these 5 steps apply. However, we just did it through faith, hope, right? We just took chances and risks, calculated risks. And the way we got there is I worked really hard at work. I did a lot of the career-related tips that I've given on this channel. I tried to position myself well to get myself into a well-paying remote job, which I did, and worked my way up, getting our finances in order, both me from a career perspective and pay, but also budgeting, so that my wife could quit work and stay home. We have 3 kids. She homeschools those kids, which also gives us more freedom than we would have otherwise had. Then, because we had all this freedom and we weren't tied anywhere, we were able to live anywhere we want. So we decided, well, why don't we just live everywhere we want? And we traveled the country for 2 full years, living in an RV. Then we sold that RV, wanting to settle down, and bought 10 acres out in the middle of nowhere because we didn't want to move back to a big city. And the most important part for this video is we did all of that while having a steady job. Now, obviously, one thing that I say all the time, your work is not everything in life. And so I have had to pass up promotion opportunities. There's been times where I could have applied to higher level jobs and I've decided not to, or I've turned down offers because I needed to maintain flexibility. And as long as you're making enough money, flexibility is what will allow you to both have a job and chase your dreams. Money's not everything, especially when you're trying to do what I'm talking about today. I'm saying all this not to brag, but just to articulate that it is possible, right? It isn't just some random thing that we just lucked into, right? I mean, we've been very fortunate, but a lot of it we've planned, we prepared, we made decisions, and then we went with it. So if we can do it, so can you. Being someone who tries to make videos about career advice, I'm often torn because there's two primary ways this thing goes, right? Either you got to quit everything, leave your job, give it all up, and go chase your dreams, which to me is scary because people need steady income a lot of times. People have debt, people have things they've got to pay off, they've got bills, they've got families. Not everybody can just quit and run off. And the other side is that people often, a lot of times, say, look, you got to give up your dreams, stay in your 9-to-5, work hard, get ahead, all this stuff. Well, there's got to be a way to do both. And that's what I found, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. Step number one is to determine what the dream is. Not everybody's going to have the same dream. Maybe yours is a dream job. Maybe it's you want to be a content creator, right? So if you want to be a full-time RVer or someone who gets paid to make YouTube videos about fishing or whatever it is. Maybe you want a cooking channel. Maybe it's hobbies. You want to really get into golf. What is the dream, right? What is your ultimate goal? If you could have the dream life, what does that look like? So step one, what is the dream? Articulate what the dream is. Write it down and be pretty specific. Step number two is to determine what's it going to take to do the dream. So as an example, for us, we wanted to travel. Well, to travel, you got to have a job that's remote. You can't be in a physical location. To travel, my wife had to not have a job. The kids can't be in a regular school that they've got to go to. They either have to be homeschooled, they've got to be schooled online. We have to have a camper. You have to have a truck. You got to have money to do that. So you have to determine what is it exactly that you're going to need to make the dream a reality. And for some of you, that could be licenses or certifications. You know, if you want to be a charter boat captain, you need to have your boater's license. You need to be able to take people out on the water. So what are the things that you need to make the dream a reality? And then what are the things in life that have to change to make that happen, right? Charter boat captain, you can't live in the middle of nowhere with no water around you. Can you move to a place near the ocean? Maybe you can have a job where you go into the office, but on the weekends when you're free, the ocean's just right there. Step number three is to determine what do you already have that you'll need for the job or for the dream. Do you already live in the right location? Do you already have the licenses required? Do you have the skills to do that? Because those things will help you know, okay, how far into this process are you? Are you way down the line and getting close to being able to do it? Or are we talking a year or two from now? Step number four, and this is the most important, is to plan your path forward. How do you get from where you are today to what you need to be when you make this move? So for us, like I mentioned, we had to get our job situation right. We had to get the kids situation right. We had to budget appropriately. We had to make sure that we could afford it. We had to make sure that we had all the internet issues worked out, right? Because you can't be traveling full-time with terrible internet and still keep your job. What kind of time do you need? Do you have your schedule set up outside of work? Because you can't do this and be terrible at your job. You might get fired, and then that derails the whole thing. And once you've made this decision, you kind of need that job. Because if it all falls apart, and now all of a sudden you have to go back to the office, but you're miles and miles away, now you're kind of in a spot of trouble. So what is the plan forward? How are you going to get from where you are today to where you need to be? And you need to think of everything. Your family, you, your budget, time constraints, locations. Do you need to make a move? Do you need to change jobs? And then you need to test things. So for us, traveling full-time, we needed the internet to work. So I just simply took a mobile tower that would give us internet. I put it in our car, and I drove all over my area to the middle of nowhere and just tried to get on the internet. And then step number 5 is execute the plan. So if you need to live near the ocean to do your idea, start applying to jobs near the ocean. If you need to have a lot of free time on your hands, start applying to jobs that are more flexible in their scheduling. If you need to be location independent, then you need to start finding remote jobs. If it's going to take a lot of money, you need to cut back on your spending. You need to find ways to build up your savings. Start executing all the plans and do the things that you need to be successful. So going back to the charter boat captain, I don't know why I'm sticking with that, but charter boat captain, if you live in, I don't know, middle of Wyoming, maybe you need to find a job near the ocean. You need to start applying to those jobs. You got to get that job. You need to start taking online boater courses. You need to find out how much a boat costs. You need to start saving up money to buy your boat. Or maybe you come up with alternatives. You do kayak charters where you take people out on a kayak, right? So you have 2 or 3 kayaks. They follow you around to your fishing spots. Whatever the case may be. What is the plan? Execute that plan. Get yourself into a spot where you can do your dream. And once you start executing the plan, eventually you will find yourself in your dream, right? So for us, eventually, after all the hard work, we were doing it. We were in Acadia National Park in an RV with our kids, having a great time, running on the sand dunes in the Outer Banks, catching crabs in Massachusetts, you know, eating barbecue in Texas, all of those things. And it was incredible. And you can do it. It just takes hard work and a lot of planning. You don't have to either have your dreams or a steady 9 to 5. It is possible to do both. But I think that's a message that just doesn't seem to be out there on the interwebs all that often. And then lastly is prepare to pivot, right? Like I said, if you can't get the job you want, you can't get the location you want, something happens at work and things go south, then you're gonna have to pivot away from the original plan. You might have to extend the timeline back, whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, don't give up on your dreams, but also don't just give up on your job. You can have both if you work hard to get it. And, you know, and maybe one day, look, your dreams will out-earn your job and you can quit. Or maybe your dreams will out-earn your job and then you don't have to care about your job. You can just do what you need to do the best you can, collect the money, and then just stock it all away. And then just some encouragement. I don't want to make it sound like this is just some wildly easy thing that, you know, we did it and everything just worked out great and how wonderful for us. But we met so many people when we were traveling full-time who were doing the exact same thing. There were so many people who were out there in their campers with their whole family, and, you know, they were working. And not working on social media, not travel influencers, but normal people who have a normal job who are also out there traveling the country with their families. So if they can do it and I can do it, then you can do it. You know, it doesn't have to be your job or your dreams. It can be both. And then you make the decision which one you're going to go with. So I hope this video encourages you. I hope it gives you hope that it's possible to do both. And if you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.